I sat down with Jay Carter, who's the Golf New Zealand national coach. He's the host of Talking Performance, and he's a really, really proud dad of his 3 girls. We talk about how identity is constantly evolving, how important it is to try new things to see if they work for you, and how he uses feedback to really challenge his mindset and get clarity in his thinking. Let's get into it. Thank you so much for being here with us, Jay. This is our first official interview in our studio, which is really exciting for us. Yeah, we had DG come and join us here. He was the only other one who's been in here, but that was quite a few years ago, and it was like when we didn't have camera gear properly and proper lights. So you're our first.
So way cruisier.
Yeah. You can imagine with DG, it's cruisy anyway.
Yeah.
So today we're just going to weave through and spin some yarns about wellbeing and learn what you do for yourself. So starting off, tell us about growing up in Greaton and heading away, and then how you've ended up back in Greaton with your whānau.
Yeah, right. So Greaton's a small suburb and on the sort of, well, it probably was the edge of Tauranga, now a little bit more central with the growth. But yeah, I grew up there. It's probably a lower socioeconomic part of town, which you're unaware of when you're, 8, 9, 10, you're just playing with your mates. And it was so cool, like the main street, I lived on that. My best mate lived 2 houses down. Another mate was about 3 houses down from him, and then another couple off another side street. And so we'd just meet on our bikes every day after school. Would be the old mum would say, make sure you're home for dinner.
Yeah.
No idea where we were. There was a church in between our houses, and it had this perfect rectangle for rugby in the winter and cricket in the summer. And it was just so cool. Like, life was easy. Dad was a panel beater, and he had a ute with just the open deck on the back.
Yeah.
So before rugby and cricket, he'd just drive around Greaton and kids would jump on the back of the ute and off we'd go. Which I kind of think now, what was he thinking? And I know that people go that was normal in those days, but still got to think. Seems odd. But anyway, that was cool. We loved it.
Oh yeah.
And he'd always buy like an ice cream and a chocolate bar or a drink for everyone afterwards. So I thought he was my hero for doing that. And then so grew up in Tauranga, moved to Wellington to pursue golf. That failed. Although I'm still in golf, so
still in golf.
Different direction. Met my wife there, who strangely enough, from Greaton I went to a place called Otamotai. And from my bedroom window, I could see my wife's house, but I didn't know her then.
Bum, bum, bum.
Yeah, a bit weird. It wasn't until, so we met in Wellington. Actually, random story. When I was living in Greaton, I used to do martial arts, and she's a couple of years older than me and was a black belt instructor. And I think me and my mate were like 12 and she was about 14. And the only reason we went back was because we fancied her. Anyway, then I never talked to her. Because when you're 12, you can't talk to a 14-year-old.
Standard young man behaviour,
Yeah. Anyway, then I ran into her randomly at the gym. Must have been 10 years later. And we sort of met, became friends, and then we were driving up to Tauranga. And I dropped her off at home and thought, this is unbelievable. Like, I grew up literally 150 metres away. So yeah, met her in Wellington, and then we spent a few years in Dubai before coming back full circle, and now we live in Greaton again, and I love it. Well, I'm right on the edge of, there's 2 suburbs, Greaton and Pies Pa.
Yeah.
Pies Pa's where all the sort of, when I was a kid, that was where all the farmers lived, all the wealthy people lived in Pies Pa. And so we're on this road that's the edge, and sometimes you get mail that says Pies Pa and sometimes Greaton, but I'm adamant that we're in Greaton through and through, so yeah.
That is gold, and I love that you kind of knew each other but didn't. For your kids, that's a really special story. I think that's really gorgeous and a little creepy.
A little bit creepy, yeah.
Not at all, it's lovely. Now, I loved our conversation because you talked about sort of the evolution of your identity through the years, and kind of that you were a cricketer. And we've all had those things, like I was a netballer, and then when you're not a netballer anymore, it's what am I now? So sort of talk to us about that almost feeling of that loss of identity and what that journey took you on.
I think the thing for me was cricket. I loved cricket. I never wanted to be an All Black. Like, every Kiwi kid wants to be an All Black. I didn't. I didn't really like the contact of rugby. I did play rugby, but more just because it was hanging out with my mates. so cricket was the thing that I was good at, and I made the junior rep teams and stuff as you do. And then I got to, must have been 13 or 14, and I was a late developer. And so all of a sudden I went from being one of the faster bowlers in the team and, pretty good, to being a boy still playing with young men. And all of a sudden I wasn't as fast. And I just thought at the time, oh, well, that's it. Cricket's done. So I was progressing up and I was still a good cricketer. But it was like I'd hit my ceiling and just went, oh, well, you're not going to get any better. May as well not play anymore. And it sort of guided me into golf probably a little bit because I could control, it was just me. It wasn't a team. I was as good as I was. And the same thing with golf. Like I started off and I was 12, not many 12-year-olds in those days. That was a few years ago now, played golf. And so it wasn't a cool thing to do.
Yeah.
And so there weren't many golfers. And so then when you're good, you get a bit of attention. And then so I thought, oh, that's cool. I'm getting attention for something. So a little bit of ego. So I think I actually fell in love with the ego more than the golf. And I carried on playing, and then you keep getting better and better, and making representative teams and getting to go play internationally. But I'm not even really sure that I ever loved the playing of golf. It's hard to know looking back. It's a long time ago, but I think I loved the attention that I got with it and the reason I say that is I used to be envious of mates who would play and be on like a 15 handicap and I was on, scratch-ish, and just think I'd actually rather be them. They just play golf on a Saturday with their mates because they love it.
I love it.
And whereas I played because I was good at it. And so I never felt like, I always felt this weird tension of disconnect between it. Yeah. And then once I realised I wasn't particularly good, and relatively, I know I was good, but to my peers, then I was probably, and I was always introduced by my sisters, two older sisters, and if I ever met their friends, it would be, oh, you're the golfer. Like that was who I was, and then all of a sudden when I failed at that, it's like, well, shit, now who am I? I left school, went to pursue professional golf, didn't make it. I'm 22, I've got no qualifications, I wasn't particularly academic. I've gone from this massive chunk of who I was, again, same as cricket, to going, well, now what am I? So yeah, it was interesting, and then probably that curiosity's driven me back into it.
Yeah. And it's massive though as well in terms of awareness from the outside, and if that makes sense, because often that's what we like. So if we know a friend of ours has played netball or their kids play netball or whatever, that's the first question we'll ask: how's netball going? Yeah. And actually terribly, like. Yeah. And thanks for reminding me that that's so that's possibly an onus from a perspective of outsiders as well. So like we're struggling with it on our own for whatever but also how we ask questions of other people or how we approach those kind of conversations, because it does then make that person go, oh, I'm not actually doing that anymore, or or an injury, or whatever, and it can sort of pivot their lives pretty hard as well, their mindset. Yeah,
even coming home on holiday when I was living in Wellington, and Dad loves golf and always has, and he'd be like, do you want to go and have a game of golf? I was going, no, I could not think of anything worse. I don't even want to. And this is when I was still playing and competitive. And that breaks my heart a little bit now when I think back and think those opportunities that I could have had with my dad. He's still alive, I'm talking like he's dead, but those opportunities that I could have had with him that I missed, not because I was selfish, but because I just had this random relationship. But I don't think it's uncommon with sports people really. So that was probably a bit of a regret through that time. Yeah. And I think now with people like DG, I'd like to think that that's happening less and less maybe, or there's at least some awareness around getting support around people. And just because they're good at something doesn't mean they enjoy it.
Yeah, and it's also, I think, from working in the netball space as well, the girls now, any athletes, are encouraged to be more than the netball or the basketball or the whatever. Like, are you studying outside of this? who are your friends, what are your relationships, because you become so siloed into this, I'm a netballer, and for a long time they weren't allowed to do anything else in case they got injured. So you're not going to do CrossFit, you're not going to sit snowboard, you're not going to do anything, because we need you at peak physical fitness. Whereas now we've got athletes, life advisors, and we've got people who are trying to help them go, at some point, I know we don't want to talk about it will finish. Yeah. So what else is there? And that's the same for our careers, whether we're an accountant or, even parents, when you're in the crazy kid phase and then they all grow up and leave and you're like, but I'm a parent.
Yeah.
But they've all gone. Yeah, so it's all that kind of thing, is the what next, and always trying to sort of think wider than just that thing you're specialising in to not be the one. Yeah, massive learning for you guys, and massive learning for your family, probably with you raising your girls as well. Of what other things do you want to be? And let's keep it nice and wide. Speaking of them, so they are doing some amazing things out in the community, and I believe that's a serious testament to you and your wife of how you've raised them. So talk to us about some of the cool things they're doing and some of the things you've done sort of as a family out in the community, which I'm pretty sure will have spurred on your girls to do really great things.
Yeah, I'd like to think they do great things. My mum and dad, I think, if I go back to them, and my wife's parents as well, but obviously I knew my parents as a kid. Dad coached my rugby team and my cricket team. He didn't even like cricket. He took the juniors at the golf club. Mum was teacher aide at Gredon School, volunteered at MS. So I was probably, for me, I was role modeled some pretty cool stuff. Not knowing probably so much, even just Dad driving around Gredon and picking up and buying the ice cream and drink after rugby, that's pretty cool. And so, I've got 3 daughters, and they're all completely different and unique in their own way, but all really socially conscious, I think, is probably how I'd say it. And so some of the stuff my wife's studying social work at the moment, so she's 6 years into, because she's doing it part-time, she's 6 years deep out of 8 years, so
wow,
crazy.
Amazing.
And so things we've done is like, Christmas. There was a thing in Christmas with homeless, like go down in Tauranga City and spend Christmas with the homeless and bring food and stuff. And there was a thing called Milo Nights, which you spend a Monday evening, and same sort of thing. You just go down and bring some food down and hang out with people and sort of connect. And then my daughters, they all had long hair. One of their mates' mums passed away of cancer, so they all cut their hair off and donated that, which is, not massively uncommon, but pretty cool.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and Sadie, my youngest, is probably the most kind-hearted. Actually, they're all kind-hearted.
Cut
but
that out.
Cut that. But she's a real sweetheart. So on our street, there's this old lady used to sit, and Sadie would wave at her. She'd just sit on her chair, and Sadie would wave and smile every day. And the lady, she must have been like 90 something, would always wave out and have a big smile. And then one day Sadie took her some cookies up. And that was pretty sweet. And her son was there about a week later and just said, that was the most amazing thing. And then most recently she got a whole lot of stuff that she'd scavenged off my mum and my wife's mum, and made these raffle, these gift baskets, chocolates and wine. And probably wasn't wine, because that would be illegal maybe for a 14-year-old, but no wine.
Not on this show.
And then she sold these raffle tickets and made about $700. And then she'd budgeted all this out, what she wanted. I think she had a goal of like $100. Yeah. She made about $700. Went to the supermarket, bought toothpaste and wipes and dog food and blankets and all sorts, and made, I don't know how many gift bags. We had a spare room full of these gift bags that she was delivering around to homeless people and to some of the local communities in that space. So just stuff like that is pretty cool, and as a parent it's pretty cool to see that.
Yeah.
I found out the other day, my daughter came home, it was a while ago now, but I said something and she goes, and I'll probably get the words wrong, but she goes, we're a woo-woo family, eh? I was like, a what? She goes, we're woo-woo, we're a bit weird, like So what do you mean by that? She goes, well, because we're vegan, we don't have a TV, you know, we're woo-woo. I was like, I don't even know what you're talking about. But yeah, according to her, we're a little bit different anyway, so maybe that's part of that stuff.
Well, if that's what different is, you know, more of us should subscribe. That's really cool.
Yeah, maybe.
That's massive. And my son recently did a speech on this, so I'm using his words, I'll quote Harry. But like a little bit of time or a little bit of money, it can do massive things. You don't have to wait till you've got a high paying job to be able to give back, and you don't, you know, like we always wait and we're like, oh yeah, once we get to here then we could donate to this charity and da da da, but there's these little micro moments that you can do so much good with. And just that woman in her window, I bet you she would have actively, like that would have been part of her day plan to be at the window at that time, because she would have thought she was giving just as much joy as Sadie was giving to her. Like that doesn't go unnoticed. That's really, really special.
And it was cool because no one asked Sadie to do it. She just went, we came in one day, what are you doing? She goes, I'm baking biscuits for the lady up the road. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Massive. I just adore that. Now we'll go from the woo woo family because that's just gold, but you'd said that you like to do quite a lot of quirky things for your well-being, and recently you did a 12-hour walk, which I'm pretty sure I said to you, you won't catch me dead doing it, but
you've done it.
No, I haven't. Maybe you'll motivate me today. So what motivated you to give this 12-hour walk a go? Tell us about what it is and what did you learn during it?
So I think I was just mowing the lawns, and a mate of mine said, have you heard of the 12-hour walk? And I said, no, I don't know what you're talking about. And so he said, oh, there's this book, I just read it, it's really good. You should do this 12-hour walk. And I thought, I won't read the book, I'll just listen to a podcast on the guy. And it sounded really interesting. And that might have been...
cut this corner?
And I thought, well, I'll give that a go. So on the Saturday, that was the Tuesday, on the Saturday, chuck my shoes on at 6 a.m. and there's no phone, turn your phone onto airplane mode. You got to do it, or you don't have to, but recommended that you do it by yourself. Not that anyone wanted to do it with me anyway.
No.
I did it in winter, not for only other than the fact that that's when I got told about it. And just walk for 12 hours. It's not a race, you're not trying to hit a target, you're not trying to go a certain distance. It was literally just to reconnect. And so I thought, that'll be wicked. I'll come up with these wicked ideas and I'll save the planet pretty much. And so the first K, I think, I was thinking hard. I was really working hard to come up with these great ideas. And then I don't have the attention span for that, so then that died pretty quickly. And then I just started going random thoughts. I walked, also walked from Grierson over to the mount. I went up the mountain because you got time to kill, right? Like, so I thought, I might as well go around while I'm here. So I walked around it. And then I remember walking along the beach and looking back at the mount thinking, shit, I don't remember walking that far. You know, those moments where you must have just been in a bit of a zone or something.
Yeah.
Start thinking about death and people that you love and what might happen. A little bit of fear of what if something's happened now and my phone's on airplane mode and no one knows where I am and all this stuff. And I guess then I walked 55 Ks, and so it was dark at 6 when I left, and then obviously it was dark at 6 when I got home. But it was cool. I didn't think it would be as hard as it was. On my feet, which is a bit random, I know. And I didn't put particularly good shoes on, I just grabbed a shitty pair of trainers and walked. But I was just talking to my daughter on the weekend actually. I think I'll probably do it again pretty soon. Just
With better shoes.
Better shoes, definitely better shoes. That was probably the only thing that hurt. But yeah, some of the things that you think about, and then you start to get a sense of, the first thing I thought I'd do when I got home would be turn my phone on. I thought, I'll turn that on and see this barrage of messages because I'm so popular that people will have reached out. But I didn't even want to turn my phone on. And then when I did, I kind of just turned it on and put it down. And so it was enough to have that reminder of the disconnect. So I think, did I come up with any groundbreaking, shattering things? Not massively, but I probably just that reconnect to the simple life and what is important, and then things that I was probably stressing about and thinking about that actually weren't that relevant after all. And no one died while I was walking, and no one even messaged me, so I could have left my phone on and it wouldn't have made a difference.
Wouldn't have made a difference.
Yeah.
I think I told you I don't, well, I'm gonna, maybe one day, let's see, I'll maybe challenge myself to 12-hour walk, we'll see. Now I feel like I'm digging myself a hole, but my struggle is like, no matter what exercise I do, I need music. I think I need music, maybe I don't, but like that helps me get through whatever punishment I'm delivering to myself, and it makes it fun. That's the fun element to me, is I don't mind exercising if I can sort of be singing away to myself and jamming. So yeah, for 12 hours I reckon it's dangerous if I was alone with my brain for 12 hours.
Yeah, so no podcasts. That's the thing for me is podcasts. So no podcasts, no music. It's like, whoa.
Yeah.
But it was cool. I'd recommend it. Good shoes, but I'd recommend it.
Good shoes, better shoes. And work them in. Don't buy a new pair of shoes and then go for a 12-hour walk straight away. Blisters.
Yeah.
On the woo-woo too, this wasn't part of the plan, but with not having a TV, because I bet you a lot of people went, what, you don't have a TV? What do you guys do instead? So, you know, often that's the evening ritual, is that people gather around and they might watch an episode on Netflix or whatever. Like, what do you guys do instead?
Oh, good question. So in the last couple of weeks, I've had no screen. Just a personal rule: no screen after 8 p.m.
Yeah.
Unless I've got a Zoom or some sort of work that I need to finish off or catch up on. Which I've had one Zoom in the last couple of weeks that impacted. But and so literally, I've been asleep by 8:30 because I kind of go, oh, I'm not much of a reader. I listen to audiobooks and podcasts. I listen to heaps of books, but not much of a reader. So I literally just go to sleep at about 8:30. I get up at 5, so that it fits. But prior to that, Ella Rose now is my middle. So I've got Michaela's 23 and pregnant. Did I tell you that?
No,
yes, I'm a granddad.
Hey.
So that's pretty cool. And then so she's 23, moved back home, which is even more exciting. And then Ella Rose, so she hasn't lived with us for 5 years or so. Ella Rose is 18 and she saved up to do a final year of high school in the States. Cool. So she spent saved up about $16,000 to live over there. And then Sadie's 14. So we've had Ella Rose and Sadie, and Ella and Sadie were both dancers. So our evenings, like for the last, it feels like, and we've got 5-year gaps between the girls-ish. It feels like our evenings have been busy with, dancing or driving them, as I'm sure every parent can resonate with, driving them around and stuff. But so what do? We have dinner together if we can, do the dishes, have a yarn, and then Ella Rose was meant to do the dishes. She won't listen to this, but she was meant to do the dishes, but she never did. She's just this beautiful escape artist, which Sadie's now started to nail. We just sit around and have a yarn, but I guess everyone has been so busy. Yeah.
That's the thing, right? And as soon as the kids start doing their own things, it's all over the show. So you can't, evenings are not your own for a very long time. No,
it was good when Ella Rose got her car and license and stuff. And she's independently coming and going. But pretty boring in the house in the evenings.
It's not because it shows that you don't need it. Like, so many of us think that's that's my wind down time is TV, but actually winding down is the dishes, it's having a talk, it's checking in with everybody, and I'm not guilty of this. I watch TV every night because I work it's like my background thing, so I'm not saying I do this too, no judgment, but it's a nice thing to start becoming more aware of how we actually use our devices and when, and having some rules around it. You can still keep a TV, but actually saying from 8 o'clock, for example, that's it done. I get up at 5:02, so my phone dings at 8:30 saying it's wind down time, get in bed by 9, and
The only other thing I'd say is that one negative to that is, because we're certainly like devices and stuff. So the only negative to, if you don't have a TV, if you have 4 people in the lounge and everyone's on their own device, then at least if you're watching the same thing, you can communicate and talk about that. Whereas one's got TikTok going, I might be looking at Twitter because I'm old, and so then you don't have that connect either. So no TV. 10, I don't know, we've done it be over 10 years probably since we've had it, but those days was easier because social media wasn't as crazy, but nowadays, yeah, it's a bit of a frustration.
Big difference, eh? That's a problem for us to solve another day, Jay. I reckon we could solve that. Now, you had another massive moment at the New Zealand Open, so talk to us about that and how you it's shaped how you view sort of capacity and discomfort around mindset.
Yeah, so I played the New Zealand Open, which is the biggest event in New Zealand. I was still as an amateur at the time, but it was a professional event, so every year they either invite, or you can either qualify, pretty much you can only qualify. They don't invite anyone nowadays, in those days rather. So I qualified for the New Zealand Open, and again I was good and I was competent as a golfer, but I stood on the first tee and I couldn't move. And people think when I say that I'm exaggerating, but I literally couldn't move. Have you ever done that thing where you go like that, and then someone asks you to move a finger? Have anyone ever done that? No. So go like that. This is a bit random.
Yeah.
And then
so I'm putting my hands around and moving them to here.
Yeah, and then try and move that finger there.
Oh my God.
Yeah. There you go.
That took some brain power.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
okay.
that's pretty much how I describe what it felt like. So when I was standing over the ball, I was thinking, I don't actually know how to move. I've forgotten what to do. And I backed off, and my dad was caddying for me, and he said, what are you doing? Actually, the first time I just backed off because you just do that. So then I reset and went, oh man, I don't know what to do. And I walked over, and Dad's like, what's happening? I said, I don't know what to do. He goes, what do you mean you don't know what to do? Just hit it. And I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. So then I just walked up and went, no, shit, I can't move. And there's people around watching, and like, you can, in golf, hold quiet please, but people starting to just murmur and shuffle, which didn't help. And then so I walked over, and Dad's like, what are you doing? And because I guess for someone, and for me it was freaky because I didn't know what was happening, but he didn't know. And I literally froze. In the end, he gave me another club. This felt like it was taking 15 minutes. He gave me another club, and then so the first hole at Paraparaumu Beach Golf Club, maybe 350 metres. So you'd normally hit your drive maybe 250 metres. I hit my first shot about 80 metres. I literally just hit a little chip shot off the tee. That's all I could kind of do. Yeah. So massively embarrassing moment, and one which I, for years, people would, because it's quite unique, people would, joke and go, what happened on the tee? And I'd just make a joke of it as well and go, yeah, I don't know, weird.
Yeah. But
internally just sinking, because again, that's the identity. Oh, you're the guy that choked, or you're the guy that froze. And even if there's people around, like, say that in front of my dad, and now my dad thinks I'm the guy that froze, or your girlfriend, or whatever it is, and so your identity then is just this sort of weirdo. So I guess the thing I tried to do, probably that's what drove me into coaching deep down, was I knew I could do the skill of golf and hitting the ball and swinging it and stuff. But when it came to, in that moment, I was fascinated by what the hell just happened. Yeah. And so it lasted for a while. Probably drove me away from the game. And I think deep down it's all connected back to had I met DG earlier, and I didn't meet him until I was coaching, and 15 years later than this. But two things, I think. I wouldn't have had the capacity to be able to handle DG, I don't think. But if I did, I'd love to have known where he would have gone, and I think he would have dug into my identity rather than some of the psychologists and stuff I saw they were awesome and incredibly well qualified and well meaning and trying to help and were as invested in me as I was, but positive thinking and visualization and NLP anchors, breathing. But to me that was in an effort to bridge the gap or
Yeah.
plug the hole.
Yep.
None of it was actually about getting better and increasing my capacity. And there's that concept of people talk about become comfortable being uncomfortable, which I'm not really a fan of, because I tried that. And if I had my time again, I would love to say, and easier said than done, but I'd love to say, just accept don't become comfortable, because you won't become comfortable, and you're not meant to become comfortable. It's meant to be yuck and feel a bit shit and hard and challenging. Are we allowed to swear?
Yeah.
Sorry. But
Truck driver's daughter, you deliver it however you want.
so I had this thing of I didn't want that anxiety feeling of my heart rate going 180 beats. I hated that. I hated the shaking arms. So I did everything to try and avoid that stuff. Whereas I'd love someone to just say, why don't you try and increase your capacity, and just, that's going to happen.
Yeah.
What does that look like to live with that? And I've looked into a little bit of that anti-fragility stuff, which I think is really cool.
Yeah.
And just that scale. And so, I was probably, I don't think I was fragile because I had enough skill. I was robust, but put me out of it and the bone snaps type of thing. And even the thing of being resilient, resilience is good, but anti-fragility, I think, is where it's at. And that's what I would have loved support. And even nowadays with our national squad, one of my big things is trying to increase their capacity and have them walking towards trying to find what their edge is. Because it's actually got nothing to do with the sport at the end of it. Anyone that's playing at the level that I'm fortunate enough to coach at, they're all skillful, they're all guns, they can do what they like. It'll be the other stuff around that gets in their way. And I just spent my whole time, even if I go back to cricket, and I didn't like, as we got into that, I was the boy, they were men, the ball was coming faster, I didn't like that. Rugby, I didn't like the contact. As everyone started getting bigger, I backed out of it. So I had this life of walking away from stuff, and when it got too hard. And school, like I was at Gredon School, I was quite good at school, at primary school, but I don't think I was at a massively academic school. Went intermediate, and then I got to college and went, holy shit, I'm actually not that smart at all. So I'm a bit thick. And so instead of going, you're not that smart, you're used to being one of the better ones, but now you're not. Instead of going, that's all good, just be you, then I was like, I won't try, or I'll just back out of the situation. And so I think about, there's so many things in my life where I've had the same response, just in different environments. And I think that's fairly consistent with the young people that we work with, is, that's the bit that DG is just so brilliant at. Understanding who you are and your identity.
And I think if anyone's listening, like, his book is phenomenal for this as well, because it literally steps you through these and how to train in those moments, and all those 1%ers, but training moments of shit, and actually accepting moments of shit, and our mops, we can talk about that later, but there's so much. I was exactly the same. I was in rep netball, and then all the girls started training and doing weights and stuff and getting stronger and faster and better, and instead of leaning into that and giving my best, I pulled back and went, well, this way they can't drop me. I've chosen not to, or they can't be better than me. And I just would love to go back to that girl and be like, just go all in and see, and like you spoke about, that feeling of embarrassment. Now I understand as an adult, embarrassment's really fleeting. And it's more pertinent to me that I feel embarrassed. Everyone else forgets about it within a couple of minutes, but I used to carry that so heavily and not want to be embarrassed. Or, poke fun at other things about me so that I could divert attention away from these other things. And now I'm like, Brené Brown is the one that talks about shame and embarrassment and all these different things. But if you could just click to the fact that embarrassment's short-lived, and it just doesn't have to derail a pathway that you're on. But it's, you don't know that when you're a young teenager, and
And even knowing it is hard to, even still hard. Even though, I've known DG for 15 years, and but hard's okay. I think is probably the difference. I wanted to DG fix me, and then everything will be sweet. Well, no, everything's not going to be sweet, but that's okay as well.
Yeah, but even the fact that you know that pattern that you've had now,
Yeah.
and you can be like, okay, so now when you feel yourself go down, hold on a minute, we don't need to just continue doing this, do the same thing, think we're going to get a different result. We're not. How do we actually try and stay the course and see what happens?
Yeah.
Good on you. Now, once a year, you and your wife go on a great walk, which I think is absolutely fantastic. So talk to us about the importance of that for you guys, but also the response you got from your boss when you got back from one of your walks, because I think that's so cool.
Yeah, so for my 40th birthday, my wife bought me a backpack, like a Kathmandu one. And I'd never been on a walk in my life. I was like, that's a shit present. What are you trying to say? I'm buying you golf clubs. Her birthday's a week after mine. I said, I'm buying you golf clubs for your birthday, because she doesn't play golf. And so, but then I thought, know you've got to be, nice and just... Yep. So I was like, oh, that's cool, I can't wait. And she'd organised this walk around Waikato Moana. Yeah. That was our first one. And it was, I want to say late November, was the first day of the New Zealand cricket summer. I think it was the first round of the Australian Golf Open, and there was something else on. And I was like, what are we walking? This is ridiculous. And first 100 metres I was looking at my phone going, no reception. Anyway, I gave up. But it was the best, probably 4 days or whatever we did, I can't remember now, but and I never knew it could be so cool. And just so, the same thing as the 12-hour walk, like literally no phone reception for 4 days. Unfortunately, some of the huts now do actually have phone reception, which is a bit of a downer, I think. Yeah. I quite like that. In fact, we got out of Stewart Island, I think I said to you. The Stewart Island one I don't think had reception, and when we got off, the country had just gone into level 4 lockdown. So we walked out of the bush and went, what's going on here? Everything's just and they weren't even sure whether we were going to get on the plane to get off the island, because everyone had just shut down. So you do really you really remove yourself. So my boss now, he loves it when I go on the walks, because he always says you come back with your best thinking after those walks, because there's a lot of it's single file. So, and my wife and I will go for comfortably, as in not in a bad way, walk for I don't know, hours and not speak. Yeah. And we'll both just be lost, and I might be 30 metres ahead or she might be 30 metres ahead, and just get lost in your own thoughts. And probably like that 12-hour walk where there's no distraction, there's nothing else. When we first did it, I did suggest we bring music, and Katie was like, no, you can't, you idiot. And now I get it, like, why would you? That is such a waste. But at the time I didn't. So he loves it when I go away, because I come back with some different thinking and unintentional again, because you don't necessarily go on a walk to think about your work, but
can't control where your pathways are going to go in your brain. Yeah.
So no, I love those.
This is challenging me enough to, I don't know if you know the hakramatas here, but I have to go up those with music in my ear, because otherwise I get to halfway and I want to turn around. But I think that's going to be my first goal, is to try and get up without music. Yeah. Nice. Okay, I've set a goal. There we go. We've done some of those with the kids as well, and they've been the best. We did the Te Paki walk, which is you go up the east coast and then down up around Cape Town and down the west coast, and that's pretty rough and ready, like pitching tents and stuff. And did that one with the kids, and that's so cool. Like kids love it. It's hard work, and so it's cool. I love that. That's very cool. Now, last thing of these is, you talked about that you're really conscious about who you surround yourself with, and that you really enjoy conflicting sort of theories or philosophies that are different to yours. So talk to us about how important that is, and what that brings to your life. Yeah, I think it's easy enough to do, because I'm probably a little bit different, maybe, who knows. I didn't think I was, but and so an example of that would be, we went to a black tie. I had a black tie thing to go to, and I don't have a black tie outfit thing, so I got a blue suit,
And I went
You
and,
could have worn that.
well, I thought so. And then anyway, when I went into this shop just to get a tie to match it, they were like, oh no, you can't wear blue to that event. You need to go black tie. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll try the next shop, see what they say. And the dude said, oh, what are you going to? And I told him, and he went, yeah, no, you can't wear blue to that, mate. You got to go black. Anyway, so I hired a black tie suit thing and showed up. And my boss is like, there was about, let's say there's 700 people there. Maybe 3 people were wearing non-black out of the men, but they looked really funky. You know, they had cool socks and the pants didn't quite fit. I don't quite pull that off, but my boss said to me, I thought you were in your blue suit. And I was like, oh, I couldn't. And he's like, you've disappointed me because you are the guy that would wear the blue suit.
Yeah.
And I was like, what do you mean? He goes, you know, you're a bit weird. And I thought, I didn't think, I'm getting these reminders about my daughter saying the woo-woo family and him saying I'm a bit weird, but I never really thought I was. But so I guess even just being vegan, so one of my good mates is the national coach of Golf Australia, and he's a carnivore. So him and I poles apart in terms of what we eat, but strangely enough, I think we both eat and have really similar views around food and wellness being whole food. So like we actually will say to people, I think we're closer than people think because we've got, you know, more whole food and probably less processed stuff, just that his is meat and mine's not. But the stuff around, I think it's easy to get caught in your echo chamber of people who think like me and it feels good. And even sometimes the bit about social media, you know, you go on Twitter and it can be a real negative thing. And so I really enjoy the practice of trying to read, listen to, understand other people's opinions rather than, I think my default historically has been to go, I'll just wait for you to finish talking so that I can bombard you with all my thinking.
I'm already thinking about what I'm going to say.
Yeah. Whereas there's that saying, what is it, like seek to understand before being understood or something like that. And it's a challenge for me because I don't want to. So I do try and actively seek out differing opinions for 2 reasons. One is, as I've gone older, I've realised there is no way. I think I used to think if someone had a PhD, then they were just an expert, full stop.
Yep.
Whereas now I kind of think, maybe not. You've done well and you've worked hard and you've got a PhD in something.
Yeah.
But it doesn't necessarily mean it's that way, because some guy could have a PhD with completely conflicting views to what you've got.
Yep.
So that messed with my head for a while, and now I enjoy probably the challenge that comes with that, because I am quite maybe opinionated about what I believe, and then I think that just can turn people off more so than we had an example of a guy, and he said, so he's in our golf team and he's a carnivore, and he goes, would you listen to we were travelling, he said, would you listen to a podcast on carnivore? And I was like, yep. So I listened to it and we're having lunch, and he goes, did you listen to it? I said, yes, I did. He goes, what do you think? I said, oh yeah, it's really interesting. I loved what he said about beans, and there's some interesting facts in there. And he goes, so have you changed? And I went, no. He goes, oh, what's the point in even listening to it then? And then my boss was with us at the time, and he said, would you listen to a podcast on veganism? And he said, yeah, I did the other day. And he said to him, have you changed? Yeah. And so it was the moment where the guy kind of went, oh. And then he started to go, no, but that's because none of that stuff's actually right. This stuff's all right. And it was a nice little reminder to go, people have different, like he fiercely believes that he's 100% right, and that's cool as. So I think it's just a reminder that for me that place is not to argue with him or to be right, but to just listen to his views, and it's not like it's a battle that needs to be won, which I probably maybe used to think.
And I think that's where so many of us have lost relationships over our time is, but I've told you you're wrong, or like even relationships when someone's with someone and you're like, they've done the X, Y, and Z, or, and so we take it personally that they don't agree
Yeah.
or they don't believe what we believe, and you're like, but how could you not? And so then these disconnects happen. But actually, you can give an opinion, and then whatever you do with it, it's actually no mind to me. Like, I'm living my life, doing my thing, and it doesn't matter. But we take those kinds of things so personally. I think COVID was one of those real polarizing ones of the do you vax, do you not, and there was just this horrible disconnect that's still there now, because people couldn't see past the I'm on this side, but I'm on this side, but these guys are saying this, but these guys are saying this, and it became this, that will be felt for years still, I think, but that's with anything. The more that we can be open and stop assuming and just ask questions to understand, but not try to push someone in the direction we need them to be, I think we'll be all better off for it.
Yeah, I think feedback's the same too. Like, people will go, can I have your feedback on something? And you go, yep. And then they'll give you their feedback. And my thinking is, I'll give you feedback. You use it or don't use it, I don't mind. Whereas some people you ask them for feedback and they go, oh, you didn't listen to me last time. Like, oh, I did listen, I just didn't take it on. That's the point of feedback. But some people think that if you don't take their feedback on, they're never giving you feedback again. And I find that frustrating.
Yeah.
Like, the feedback was to help me clarify my thoughts, and I appreciate what you said, but it wasn't what I used in that moment.
Yeah.
But people think, no, I've given you the feedback, you didn't listen, so you're not getting it next time.
Yeah.
Righto.
Yeah, I can spend my time in much better ways than telling you stuff if you're not going to listen.
Yeah.
How many times have we heard, I just feel like I'm talking to a brick wall? No, I've listened, but and that's it. But I used to take things personally when I'd help people out, and then they'd go the opposite way, and you're like, I don't understand. But now I do. I'm like, actually, I don't listen to half the things everyone tells me.
Yeah.
My poor mum and dad, how many times they've, we told you. I know, but it's not going to go that way. Yeah. No, I really like that, and I think the more we can seek that out, or read books that challenge us outside of, or listen to podcasts that just push us enough doesn't mean you have to change where you are, but it challenges your assumptions and perspectives.
Yeah.
We'd be all so much better off for it.
Definitely.
Yeah. Well, we are into quick fires now. That has been absolutely amazing. So, if you could have dinner with any 3 people in the world, past or current, who would it be?
Good question, and one that comes up a bit, because as a golfer you often get asked who would your dream playing partners be, and mine change all the time.
Yeah.
And it's another thing that frustrates people. You said this. But at the moment I'd say Rick Rubin, David Gilmour, and Bruce Lee.
Oh, I like that one. Nice. What is your favourite smell?
Coffee in the morning.
That is such a common occurrence in these chats. What song is currently on repeat on your playlist?
2 songs by one song.
Yeah.
Drift Away or Porteriana by Sons of Zion.
Beautiful.
Just love it, yeah.
Beautiful and great for our Māori language. What are your 3 favourite books?
Unleashing Greatness, David Galbraith.
DG. Ay.
The Creative Act by Rick Rubin.
Oh, yeah.
And probably, because it's recency biased a bit as well, isn't it? Apart from probably DG's one. But Think Again from Adam Grant.
Yes. Yep. What is the best piece of advice that you've ever been given?
I've had
you can give us more than one.
Well, my favourite, I was never given this, but it was either Epictetus or Seneca, one of those old Stoics, said, we are not disturbed by things, but the view of which we take of them. And I think that's probably something that's stuck with me the most. So there's a couple of things that I love about Stoicism, that being one. Memento mori and amor fati, so remember that you're going to die. And then love of fate. So those sort of things, they're not really advice. My dad said never own a boat, just have a friend that has one. I think that was pretty good advice.
That is great advice.
And then advice that I've got would be, the best one would be, I was told by someone I look up to, in terms of coaching, nothing you think or know is yours. So anything that you think is IP, just give it away, because A, it wasn't yours to start with.
Yeah.
And 2 things, by giving it away, you'll make the community better, but also it'll drive you to, to get ahead again if you think you're giving away IP. So when he first said it, I was like, oh, I'm not sure about that. I've worked hard. But now I think, this is mine. But now I think, no, that's cool. Because and then the theory, the more you give away, the more you get back.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
that's probably the best bit of advice, which is a roundabout way of answering not a very quick fire question.
I love that.
Sorry.
We should have just gone into that, because now I'm like, these guys growl at me if I banter at quick fire, so I won't. Where or what is your favourite hidden gem in Aotearoa?
I think Waihi Beach.
Yeah.
Mate, is it hidden? I don't know, but it still feels pretty small.
Yeah.
And it's where, when the kids were young, we used to go to the Waihi Beach campground every summer, and with a couple of family friends, and just camp there, and just that was wicked. And it's such a beautiful beach.
Yeah.
If you go there outside of the crazy weeks of holiday, it's still really quiet and quaint, and so probably Waihi Beach.
Yeah, agree. It's a cool place. What are some qualities you love about yourself?
This is a hard question, eh? And that's why you put it in there,
It's always there.
and you're happy to sit with the awkwardness, eh? I love that I love people. I love that I love connecting with people, and because I have, I know people that don't. I've got a friend who's a coach, and he said he was told an introvert is someone that starts the day with, say, 5 coins, and every interaction they have, they give the other person a coin. An introvert, and an extrovert starts the day with no coins, and every interaction they have, they get a coin. And so I feel like I'm an extrovert in that sense, and that I get a massive amount of energy from being with people. So maybe I'm the dude that steals the energy off the others, but and so he gets to the end of the day and he's shattered. He loves what he does and he's awesome at it, but he feels like he's just giving all day. Whereas I'm really fortunate, and I love that at the end of the day of a day's work, if I've been with people, not all my work's around people, but I feel really energized, and so I love that. I've got that. I feel blessed that that's, for whatever reason, I'm lucky to have that. There's 2 things, love people and love connecting. And the other one is I love that I'm curious, because I wasn't particularly academic at school. I haven't been, I wasn't particularly academic, and my mates at school that would laugh if, I really love learning now, and again I love that I love learning, and my mates from school would laugh at that, 59% was my best ever grade and stuff. So I love that, and I love that I'm open enough and happy enough to probably accept that that's who I am now.
Sorry, quick fire, I'm ruining it, these guys in the crowd, but mine was, my highest was 61%. And I passed bursary, 49% to pass in bursary, and some of my exam marks were 49, but I got through it. But now I love reading, I love learning, and I'm super curious, and I'm always asking questions. But back then, you would have been like, that's not my trajectory to ever love books, because now I can say I'm a reader, and I've always been like, the identity thing, I'm not a reader. God, no, I can't think. The worst thing to do would be pick up a book and have to sit there and read it. It's I'm like, how many can I read and what can I absorb? And it's cool, and it shows, though, and it's a great lesson to finish on, that identity is constantly evolving. So we've got these things that we start with our foundations and our whānau and how we've grown up, but we don't have to stay on a path or remain someone we're not happy being. Like, you can constantly reevaluate and learn and get curious and try new things. And
the other one for me that I've discovered recently, which is golf trips, and you go away with the boys and you get on the bus, and I actually don't enjoy that. And it's only been recently that I've wanted to enjoy that, because it looks like so much fun, the big nights out and the funny stories and all that. But I've actually now, and I've always wanted to enjoy it, and I did it because it's the thing to do, and you want to be. I've got a mate who's awesome at it. He loves it, and he's the life of the party, and he's all this, and you look at him and go, oh, that's so cool, he has such a good time. And I used to want to be, like him and do what he did. Whereas now I'm like, no, I'm okay that I'm the boring one that doesn't want to do it. Whereas I think for so much, even as a kid, I was like, I just do what everyone else does because it's the thing to do. Whereas as you get older, and as you say, your identity a bit, to go, nah, it's not a massive
Yeah.
driver for me. So have a good night, lads. I'm going to bed.
Yeah, but that's a strength to be able to do that. It's a strength to actually be, because I don't really drink very much, and so everyone always hassles me that like, oh, you're gonna have your 2 drinks, Des, and I'll be like, big night. But I don't need to drink to have the fun.
Yeah.
Like I was at an event recently in Auckland where everyone was drinking heavily, and I was driving back to Hamilton. They were like, "How are you doing this sober?" Because I'm dancing. There's cool music and there's cool people, and I don't need to. But it's that expectation that when you're out, you've got to have a few beverages. So it's all that kind of thing again of just not assuming or judging anybody off of how they do it. Just, I think that's really cool. Well, this has been absolutely amazing. Thank you very much for making the trip all the way to Kirikiriroa for us today and hitting the Bombays. Bombays, oh my God, hitting the Kaimais.
Kaimais, yeah.
But yeah, thank you very much. There's
Thanks
a
for
lot to
having me.
take away. So yeah.
Cool.
Thank you very much, Jay.
Thank you.
And we'll see you again next time. Ka kite.